I was gonna say
this is what I mean when I said I messed up.
I was gonna say we could skip that part and move the story on forward, but now I need to know what you did.
So look,
What happened?
With the wrong people. With the wrong people. And
let me ask you, when did you break into fashion, like the modeling and all that?
You look at yourself a lot. And you look at yourself in the lens of other people. Mm-hmm. So now you are paying a little bit more attention to your breasts, your hair, your bone structure.
That's so crazy. What do you love about doing that? Because there's
a thrill in it.
There's a lot of psychological trickery going on with that. What's the love in it for you?
I think it ties into my name. I remember being young and just saying, I'm just going to pretend that Olivia Pope, who was played by Kerry Washington, I'm just going to pretend like that's my mom because that's someone that I will aspire to be. So I grew up a lot.
So you leaned on your imagination a lot.
I leaned a lot on my imagination until I got older and I couldn't do it anymore. Growing up in that setting of being a Gen Z, being raised by baby boomers, it was such a disconnect. And I just remember growing up very depressed.
Thank you for sharing that, especially if it's something you don't really normally share.
I don't normally share it, but thank you for allowing me to share it because, I've done a lot of interviews and I'd be like, so y'all don't want to...
Y'all not going to ask me?
I ain't going to ask me? Okay.
You have to do a certain level of upkeep to be a model. Take me through there because we were talking about...
Wait, I like how you said, take me through that. Take me through
Heart. It comes from the heart.
The elegant, radiant Qveen. Thank you for joining us and making it out here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that introduction. That was
it's
clean.
It's a quick introduction. Nice. Frank caught me off guard. I had to go ahead and get to it. But thank you for the drive, for making it out here. You from Miami, right?
So I'm originally from Orlando, but I live in Miami.
Okay.
Yeah, like South Miami.
Yeah.
Really far. Really far.
Like deep down. And
kind of like you're going towards Homestead a little bit.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
You're a fashion model who just dropped a new single.
I came to give you life. Body so T and it looks so bright. Hit the stage 6 feet is the height. Big ass fro and the booty looking nice.
It being a song you can actually walk to. So what inspired that to happen? We'll just get that out the way.
So I would say the fashion industry within itself is already hard, right? Yeah. A lot of people don't understand, of course, me being a Black model, how hard it still is to this day. Now we've had some of the viral videos of America's Next Top Model and all that stuff going viral. But even before that, people don't understand how difficult that industry is and how there are moments where you don't feel as confident, you don't feel as pretty, or think about it, you're getting judged
based on how you look. Yeah, which is kinda...
people don't understand how deep or how damaging that can to someone. You can literally be in a setting and getting judged by like somebody who's not aesthetically pleasing, but because you are presenting yourself at the forefront, these people feel like they have a say-so on your life and how you do things and how you look.
Yeah.
So Respect My Walk kind of came that way, right? There was a moment in the industry where I didn't feel as confident and I was like, is this really something that I should be doing? Like, I walk it, like even in the song, I say I walk around with a big ass fro, and there's moments where some designers go for it and some designers are like, hell no, she ain't walking in my show. Like, we not doing that. So
you've gotten that.
I've definitely gotten that. I still get that. But because I'm true to who I am, I say, you know what? There's someone that's going to appreciate me for who I am.
Yeah.
Right. So Respect My Walk is a big, like, confidence boosting song, and not even just for women. Like I've even had guys doing Respect My Walk, and it's just like, yo, like I vibe with that. So it was really just to kind of put a little bit more fun and life back into the industry at times where we might not feel like our best. So
the energy behind the record is so dope, and I see you promoting it and everything you're doing to promote it. Walking in the streets with your girlfriends and putting that energy out there. I think that's so dope. And especially this is what your first record, single?
So I've done music before.
It sounds like you have. That's why I'm like, yo, you sound like you.
When it came out, everybody was like, wait a minute, hold up now. This don't sound like somebody with a first record. Right. But I've done music before back when I was like 13. And I took a huge hiatus break on it just because I fell out of love with it. And I fell out of love with it because of the environment that I was in at the time, and just certain people not doing things that they should. And, obviously being a woman in a male dominated industry, it is hard enough to navigate, especially when you're so young.
Yeah.
And when I went to college, I kind of just took a shift.
Would
Complete
you
shift.
say the modeling industry is male dominated? Is that what I'm hearing?
The music industry is male
The
dominated.
music industry. Okay, okay.
The modeling industry,
I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. That's
yeah,
what
the modeling industry, it's still, it's vice versa because you get both ends. But obviously you get more women that will judge you more before a man in the modeling industry. But
Okay.
music wise, at that time, it was just, at the time when I was like 13, almost 16, that was like back in like 2014, 16, something like that. So, at that time we still had people that were still, doing the sexy thing. And now I think music has changed a little bit. Now you can kind of be yourself and people will more so recognize you, versus back then you kind of had to show more like sexuality, being
Yeah.
sexy, and like now I think we have fun with it a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it's getting there. I think
Yeah,
it's getting
it's-
around there for sure. So I want to get some clarity because you're a first guest here with us, and I like to know the backstory, and we like to we're changing the youth, so we like to get into the development of the person. So you went to school where? You say you're from Orlando. You went to
Yes,
school up there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So born and raised in Orlando, went to school in Orlando. I came to college down here.
Okay.
And I have a very crazy story about how I got in Miami, because I was originally supposed to go to school at Clark Atlanta University, and I actually got kicked out.
Clark Atlanta.
Clark Atlanta. It's a HBCU in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
And I went to a HBCU down here called Florida
Fam.
Memorial University.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was gonna
it's-
say FAMU off rip.
not fam.
I was gonna-
Not
you gonna
fam.
be on
I
second
refuse. I
fam?
got accepted into fam, but I refused to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to be cliche.
Yeah.
Like I think FAMU, like their alumni is crazy. They're insane.
They know how to party.
They
Yeah,
know how
that's
to
for
party.
sure.
I knew if I went to fam, I would have got pregnant for sure. them men up there is fine as hell. They
My
fine.
sister went to FAMU, and then she just kind of just kind of dropped out of there. And
Yeah, it's too much going on at that school. I think I needed to be in a setting that was a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
So I did a lot. I pledged, aka I did a lot of stuff when I was in
Nice.
college. But I would say the upbringing was like the most important part, because
yeah, how was that?
I don't share my story too much. And growing up was really hard. It was, difficult because my mother was in prison and my father wasn't around. So I was primarily raised by my grandparents.
Okay.
And growing up in that setting of being a Gen Z, being raised by baby boomers, it was such a disconnect. And I just remember growing up very depressed. Like I was very unhappy. It took for me like years, a lot of therapy, a lot of work to get to where I am now. But I just remember being young and not liking anything. Like just being very...
Like being disconnected from your peers?
I
in
would
a
say I
way,
felt
or
disconnected from everything.
From everything.
Like from
Okay.
my peers, even when I would go to school, because, I was in sports as well. And I'm just seeing everyone, bringing their parents to like, the games or, like the track and all of that. And I would just be that girl that's just sitting there like watching people's families. And I'd be like, wow, I wish I had that.
Had that, yeah.
Like, I actually grew up watching television. Like one of my favorite shows is Scandal. And I remember being young and just saying, I'm just going to pretend that Olivia Pope, who was played by Kerry Washington, I'm just going to pretend like that's my mom, because that's someone that I will
Really?
aspire to be. So I grew up a
Okay,
lot.
so
Like
you leaned on your imagination
I
a lot.
leaned a
Yeah.
lot on my imagination until I got older and I couldn't do it anymore. Because I'm like, you know what? There's something missing.
Yeah.
So, and then, when my mother did get out, because she got out in 2023, when she did get out, I was already grown. Like, you know what I'm saying? I already car, house, graduated. So it was hard to build that. And I told my grandmother to never let me see her again.
How was that interaction?
Because it hurted me to see someone that I looked up to, and someone at that time that, because I leaned so much on my imagination that I was like, your people don't tell you everything as to why your people in there or whatever. So I leaned so much on my imagination. I envisioned who I thought my mother was, and that's not
And it
who
did
she
not
was.
fit that.
So now, as I got older, I struggled a lot to have a relationship with her, because I'm like, I grew up this whole time thinking you were this way and you're really this way. So, that push and pull for years, we just was not seeing eye to eye. And, by the grace of God, like, I'm so glad now I can say that we now have a decent relationship, but it took so long to get there.
When did the healing start
When
for
did the
you
healing
two?
start?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would say the healing started.
So I feel like that's a bit of a broad statement, but how did the conversationally, how did you guys get to wanting a relationship?
I would say we kept arguing, and it really started with myself. I was in therapy at the time, and this is when I had a relationship that honestly I was dating someone older, and he actually inspired me to seek therapy. And I was like, you know what, maybe I should. And it took for me to do the work first. So I'll put that out there. I had to go do the work first. And once I started going to therapy, I had to break down everything, right? Because your therapist is not just gonna, a good therapist, by the way, is not gonna tell you, oh, well, she's just like that. No, they're gonna tell you to break down every layer.
Absolutely.
So the therapist actually made me realize, well, what was your mom's upbringing like? And I'm just like, well, who cares? Like,
Right.
And I was like, and my therapist made me think. And she was like, what was your mom's upbringing like? And I said, well, my mom came from a 2-parent household, so I don't understand. She's like, something missing. And then I remembered, I said, oh, my grandmother, she lost her mother at 16. And then my therapist was like, okay, do you think that your grandmother, because she has had that loss, do you think that motherly wise that she was probably always there for your mother? And that's when it hit me. And I was like,
Yeah. Keep going.
okay. That's when it hit me. And I honestly was like, probably not. Like, I think I realized for the longest I had to actually put myself in my mother's shoes. Because I always was like, if that was me, I would have never did that. I would have never put my children in this situation. I would have never. And I had to actually be her for once.
Yeah.
And that's when I can say that was the changing point, because I had to change how I viewed her. And I also had to change how I responded to her. So once that happened, once my therapist broke that part in it, obviously going to church, prayer, and getting understanding, I remember it was one last argument we had. And I said, and I was thinking about, if I was to have children and my daughter and all this stuff. And I said, we're not going to continue like this. And I did give an ultimatum, and I said, it's either we're going to work on having a better relationship with each other, or we might as well just stop this now. Because I didn't want to continue that, because here I am getting the help that I need. And this is still like my childhood is still getting brought up. So I think that's what really took for us to kind of like understand. And then I also started having conversations with her about her past. And I said, I see you. And I think for my mother, that meant a lot to her, because I think she was always looked at as the problem child. And she had to have, because I'm her youngest child, by the way. Okay. I have sisters. I have older sisters.
How many?
2 older sisters.
Okay.
So I think me being the youngest and coming to her and wanting that change, I think that was the real, like, me telling her, like, I love you for who you are, and accepting everything, even how we were raised, the upbringing and all of that. And it's like, I had to honestly forgive her.
Yeah.
Because my childhood was not great because of the decisions that she made.
Absolutely.
But when you're older, you have to, forgive that. And that's where I can say that, that's
because there were decisions influencing her decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I see it even like within my own family or close friends.
Right.
Where young people have this tension with their parents or people who came before them, and it's confusing, like, as far as who should take the responsibility to initiate a resolve, because we think you're the parent, you're older, I'm your child, you're supposed to be, this is your fault. But your therapist did right in just giving you a bird's eye view and of that situation, and just knowing that sometimes as the kids, we're the ones that now have to hold their hands and show them how how it really goes. So that's thank you for sharing that, especially if it's something
thank
you don't really
Thank you
normally
for-
share.
I don't normally share it, but thank you for allowing me to share it, because
Yeah.
I've done a lot of interviews and I'd be like, so y'all don't want to,
Y'all not gonna
I
ask
ain't
me?
gonna ask me.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I ain't gonna pressure it, but because I think it's important too. I think
Absolutely.
people need to hear that you're not alone in these situations. Like, I've also was a teacher at one point, so I've had students whose parents were incarcerated, and they don't understand how that affects them, because people don't realize that these people still have children, like, that have lives. Like, these people, yes, they're arrested, yes, they're incarcerated, but these people still have children that want to, make something of themselves. And it is actually, there's say that word wrong all the time. There's a statistic that basically, children of incarcerated parents will more than likely be incarcerated themselves. So, that was always really hard for me. And I think that was another reason why I grew up resenting my mother, because I was like, I wanted to be twice as better than what she was. And when you grow up hearing people say, oh, you're going to be just like your mother, or, oh, you're going to be in prison just like her, it damages you in a way.
Absolutely.
Because you're looking at someone who looks, and I look exactly
That's a curse.
like,
That's a curse.
you putting that, you speaking
man.
life into that. So, and as someone like me, I look exactly like my mother, by the way, but, there were moments where I was literally like, oh no, I'm going to be twice as good. I have 2 college degrees. I have a bachelor's and a master's, soon to be doctoral degree.
Okay.
But that was triggered by being told, like, you're going to be just like her.
Yeah.
So I had to keep fighting.
So let me ask you. So when you left, so after your mother came back, you were living together for a little bit?
When
Or were you still with your grandparents?
No. So when
you were grown at the
Yeah,
time.
when my mother
Yeah.
came back, I was already grown.
Okay.
I already had an apartment.
Yeah.
I had a man. You know what I'm saying? I was already gone. I was out of college, had a nice job. So, I was living with my grandparents all the way up until it was time for me to graduate. And my grandfather gave me 2 options right after graduation. He said, hey, and my grandparents, they're very old school, very Southern, God bless their hearts. But they're originally from a small town called Perry, Florida. Okay. It's kind of like it's like on the outskirts of Tallahassee, but it's like one of those little,
Yeah. You gotta be careful.
Yeah, listen. So they were very strict Southern people, and Christians, obviously. And my grandfather gave me this option, and he said, because they called me Nene back at home, but he said, Nene, listen, you graduated. And I'm like, okay, like I'm at home watching TV. I'm like, okay, yeah. Like, he was just like, we need to talk, because this is your last few months here. Mind you, at the time I was 18. I'm like, what do you mean last few months? Like, he's like, you have to move out, and I'm giving you 2 months to do so. And I'm like...
And this is after you graduated
This
college?
is after I graduated high school.
Okay.
So I'm like...
18 is young, huh?
I'm like, huh? Come again and say what? And, I'm like, okay, well, and go where? He says that's for you to decide and figure out. And I was so scared, because I'm like, well, where am I going to go? Like, I had a job at the time. I was working at Universal, but they weren't paying me enough to go live on my own. Yeah. And, my oldest sister, she went to Bethune-Cookman. So I'm like,
okay, shout out.
I'm like, okay, well, what should I do? And then, Clark Atlanta gave me an offer letter to go to school up there. I went to Atlanta, but then something happened with the scholarship. I don't even want to get into that. So I came back to Orlando, and my grandfather, the the decision, I'm like, okay, well, what should I do? And then, Clark Atlanta gave me an offer letter to go to school up there. I went to Atlanta, but then something happened with the scholarship. I don't even want to get into that. So I came back to Orlando, and my grandfather, the decision was still there. You still have to go. So crazy story about that, because my friend, my best friend at the time, her grandmother, because we used to just, be in the car, doing things we ain't got no business doing and chilling or whatever. Her grandmother actually told us to not go to work that Friday. She said, if y'all on the schedule to go to work, don't go, because I'm taking y'all somewhere. So she actually took us to this college fair. And it was a college fair of nothing but Florida schools. So like the regular HBCUs, Valencia, all of this stuff, whatever. And there was a school in Miami. It said Miami on there. And I'm like, because I looked at, I saw the one in Jacksonville. I saw Bethune. I was like, hell no. I was like, I ain't going there.
Catching strays like that.
I'm sorry. I was like, I did not want to do the Wildcat versus the Rattlesnake. I didn't want to do it.
Yeah, I was going to say, we had to go to FAMU.
I didn't want to be a cliche.
Yeah.
But I saw a school with a lion on it, and it had Florida Memorial. And I was like, all I saw, I didn't even see the gardens part. All I saw was Miami.
That was good enough for you.
I graduated top 10% of my class in high school. So I was really smart, just terrible SAT scores. But GPA was very high, like a 4.2. Okay. And I gave them my paper, and that man looked at me dead in my eyes, and he said, "You didn't get accepted anywhere?" And I was like, "Oh, well, I mean, I applied." He said, "Sweetheart," he said, "the GPA that you have, you need to be in somebody's school." And, I was like laughing. I'm like, oh, whatever. He said, "No, I'm going to offer you a full ride right here. You need to be in someone's school." And I was so shocked, because I'm like,
nice.
I'm like, wait, what? He's like, I'm
this
going
is who you talked to at the school?
This is who I talked to at the college fair thing.
Oh, okay.
And he gave me a full ride. He gave me the presidential scholarship, which I later lost, but that's a long story. Freshman year was very hard, guys. So he gave me the presidential scholarship to go to school. And I just remember going home that day. Well, I was shocked. So I got the paperwork and everything. He told me, fill everything out. And I remember going home, and I just remember my grandfather just telling me, like, and I wasn't ready to be on my own. Like, I was not ready to be on my own.
You're 18.
I didn't even know what being on my own was like.
Yeah.
So I just told them. They were in bed. I remember it like it was yesterday. My granddad was in his bed, and, my grandma was in the bed as well. And I just came in, and I was like, "Hey, I'm going to Miami." And they were like, "Miami? For what?" And I said, "I'm going to college." And I think for the first time, my grandfather was like extremely proud of me.
Okay.
And he didn't question my decisions, because he would question me like crazy. And he was like, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going to go to Miami." Then he was like, "Well, how you going to get there?" I caught the Greyhound bus down there.
Yeah.
I packed up all my stuff.
Like the next day?
Not the next day. It was like the following. It was like 2 weeks later, because I had to save up some money. And I packed up all my stuff, and I caught the bus, and the rest is history.
Okay. All right. So you went to college out there, did all your years out there, got
I
both
did all
your degrees.
my years out there.
Both degrees out there. You had a rough freshman year.
Rough freshman year. I went to jail my first 2 weeks.
Okay. I was gonna say
this is what I mean when I said I messed up.
I was gonna say we could skip that part and move the story on forward, but now I need to know what you did.
So look,
what happened
with the wrong people, and this was like that wake up call, and this is how I connected it with my mother and everything. But so
and where's your mom at the time? What, she's still in jail?
No.
Okay.
Right now she got out in 2023. My mom is currently living her life.
No, I mean at the time of this.
Yeah, my mom was still in jail at this time.
Okay.
So, yeah. So my first 2 weeks of school, amazing time. Oh my God, Floma was so amazing. It was too amazing. And parties after parties, drink after drink. Like, that's probably the reason I don't party so much now, because I partied so much back in college. The first 2 weeks, my best friend, the one that I went to the college tour with, she ended up coming to school with me. So we were roommates, and we had 2 other roommates. It was a girl. We're friends now, Jada. But me and Jada, we ended up having a little altercation, and
Okay.
things went left, and I ended up getting arrested. And this was back in like 2017. So I got arrested. I was released on my own consciousness, and the judge was like, "Don't come back." And by the time I got released, I got suspended from school. So I got suspended for 1 month.
How long were you in there?
I was in there for like a day.
Okay.
Longest 24
Long
hours
day,
of my
I'm
life.
sure.
Never again. So I left, got out of there, and basically I went back to school thinking that everything was gonna be normal. And the principal at the time was like, "Oh no, baby girl, you're done. You're suspended, and you here on a scholarship? Oh no, like
So whatever happened, it happened on campus
yeah, it happened on
during
campus.
during class or something.
So no, it was
Or like
after it was after hours. It was in a dormitory. Yeah, it was
And for this incident is why they suspended
So
you.
I was suspended because of that. So I went back to Orlando. My people were extremely disappointed. And I was like, oh my God, I got to figure out a way to get back to school. I was like, and it's like my people, they made my life a living hell. Like, cause like you just messed up an opportunity to go to school. So I just remember emailing every day, like, oh, give me a second chance, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually we got in touch with the dean, and the dean was like, yeah, I reviewed over the camera footage and everything. And they saw that I wasn't the one that initiated the fight. I was just defending myself, by the way.
Okay.
So the dean eventually got back to me. He saw the camera footage and he said, you can come back. He was like, you can come back. Thank God it was a hurricane that year. Because that kind of saved me a little bit.
Well, respectfully, they should have reviewed the footage before they
That
made
school
the
had a
decision.
lot going on. Okay, the Florida Memorial. I love my alumni, but at that time, the officials was not on point.
Yeah.
So I came back, and by the time I came back, and also too, I was seeing a guy at the time. His name was Sean, and he inspired me to come back because I wasn't trying to come back. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna get a job and get an apartment, be done with it. But he at the time was still going to school there, and I was like, oh, I'm in love with you. I gotta come back. He was my first boyfriend, by the way. Yeah. And I was like, dang, I'm in love. I gotta go back
First
to school.
boyfriend was in college?
It was in college. Everything first for me was in college. Everything first, college. Because my grandparents were very strict.
Was strict, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, dang, I love him. I gotta go back. So I went back, and it was hard. Like my freshman year, I had a 1.7 GPA.
Time out.
1.7 GPA.
Time out.
1.7 GPA. By the time I got back,
what you was doing? What was going on?
by the time I got back
You
to
can't
school,
go from a 4.2 to a 1.
Listen.
That means you was involved with what y'all
by
was
the
doing.
time I got back to school, in college, they don't play.
Yeah.
If you missing out on classwork and all this stuff, it's a wrap. So it was really weird because when I got back, they just put me right back into my classes. They didn't notify any of my teachers. They didn't let them know that I was suspended. Nothing. They just put me back into school.
Oh, okay.
So the whole time, these people are thinking
And
that I'm not
between the
showing
first
up.
time you suspended to when you went back, how long is that?
So being suspended to when I went back, it was like a month later. When I went back, it was like a month later.
Yeah.
So when I got back, even when I tried to keep up on some of my classwork, I couldn't.
Okay.
Everything was so hard. It was so behind. So what's crazy is because of that reason, that's actually the reason why I had to stay in summer school all my years in college. So that way I can graduate on time.
On time. Okay.
And then I was, at the time, my ex, he wanted to be a Kappa, whatever. They had, the Greek life and stuff.
Your
and
first boyfriend.
My first boyfriend. So they had the Greek life, and I was like, ugh. And then I remember him telling me, he was like, you ever thought about pledging and stuff like that? I was like, yeah, but I don't want to be like them girls and da-da-da. He was like, I don't know. Maybe that might be different for you. Maybe you need a better outlook on life. And I was like, oh, excuse me. But he played a huge role in that. And I just remember being in the cafeteria that day, seeing one of the AKAs was doing stuff. So me at that time, I didn't know. I went to them and I was like, hey, how can I wear that shirt? How can I get to be one of those? And she was like, excuse me? And I'm like, did I say something wrong? And she was just like, she gave me that whole speech about discretion is key and all this stuff like that, whatever. And then she talked to me and she was just like, oh, what's your GPA? And I was embarrassed. And she was like, that says a lot. And, she was like, this is college. This is the real world. You don't need to be here playing around. If you're going to play around, you might as well go back home. She was like, you might as well quit. Like, you might as well, like, what you doing here? And I think for the first time I questioned, like, what am I doing here? Like, what am I actually doing? So, yeah, like, that was college, everything. That was, like, that pivotal moment. It was, man, it was big. It was
a lot of drama, but
Yeah.
you know, all that makes you who you are. So let me ask you, when did you break into fashion, like the modeling and all that? Was that always something lingering?
So, no, I was
Or-
actually a real tomboy growing up.
Yeah.
And I would say that kind of got inspired because of college. Because I didn't get into modeling for real until about college. I was doing like little stuff before then, but college was really like the stickler. There was a modeling troupe called Faces, and I wanted to be a part of the modeling troupe. And I joined, and they would have us like dress up and like do different challenges and all of that. And I just remember them saying, you know, you're really tall. You should model. You should model. You should model. So we did like a little fake runway show. And then I actually ended up getting invited to do an actual runway show. Some company reached out when I was at the mall or something like that. Like she handed me a card and was like, oh, you're tall. You should, you know, do it, whatever. So I did it. I auditioned and I got it. The shit was terrible. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can cuss.
Yeah,
But that was like probably one of my worst shows. Like I was super, super skinny. I didn't know what I was doing. I couldn't walk. Everything was just bad. Like, but I'm so thankful that I got that experience.
So they didn't train you, give you any tips,
No.
tell you anything about
that
it?
lady didn't train me at all. I needed that experience because it was very humbling, but I was not trained. I actually got trained years later by a man. A man taught me how to walk.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't know that men are actually the best teachers because they can position you certain ways. And no, he was not gay. He was not gay. He was straight.
Okay. I was
He
imagining
was
that.
not gay. He was not gay. But yeah, so he taught me how to walk years later. And his name was Mr. Coleman, one of the best teachers. Taught me a lot about the game. And from then on, it was just meeting the right people and being in the right spaces and training. And yeah, that played a huge role in it.
Now, do you have to do a certain level of upkeep
Yeah.
to be a model? Take me through there, because we were talking about.
Wait, I like how you said, take me through that. Take me through Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
take me through there, because we were talking about it in the beginning, like how you talked a little bit of how the people judge you and some of the appearance that you
Yeah.
have, all that.
So I'm very cautious of myself now. Like moments where I shouldn't be, like I could probably be going to like the store or something like that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I need to, and I'm like, whoa, wait, I'm
You're
not
not-
going to
you
a
off
show.
work, yeah.
I'm off. I'm not doing anything. So you become very insecure. I'm gonna put that out there right now. I think any model that comes to you and says that they're not is kind of crazy. I think that's very shallow to not be honest about that.
Yeah.
And for me, the process looks more just, you look at yourself a lot and you look at yourself in the lens of other people. So now you are paying a little bit more attention to your breasts, your hair, your bone structure, your face, your pimples. Like me, I suffer from hormonal acne, which came when I was much, 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 much older. So this came now, and now me, like I freak out. Like I'm like, oh my God, I have a breakout.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, it's hormonal. Like you can't
Yeah.
change that. But because I'm in the industry, it freaks me out. So what it looks like is just always watching what you eat and seeing your body constantly and working out. You might have a little cellulite and you feel it is
get
the
it going.
most beautiful / damaging thing ever that someone can ever go through. People ask me all the time, would you want your daughter or your son to be a model? And I always say, no.
Yeah, I've had that conversation, especially beauty pageants.
No.
I've always thought about that.
It is so
Getting your kids into that is.
it is so hard. And people just think because you are just a pretty face or because you look good and your body's right, it's layers to it, man. Like,
The behind the scenes.
yeah, like the behind the scenes, like people are mean and rude and they don't care about your feelings.
Who are people, everyday people you run
So,
into?
like,
Are
when I
people
say
the
people,
judges, your peers?
yeah, when I say people, I mean like casting directors, designers, show productions, sometimes social media, because some of my videos have went viral, and that's where I got most of
The
my followers
comments
from. And you will have people saying, "Oh my gosh, she's fire," and then you have people saying, "Oh my god, she looks a mess. Her hair looks, she looks AI. Oh, that her boobs look crazy." Like me, I never thought to get my boobs done until now, and I was like, wait, I don't think I need to get them done, but I'm like, I need to get them done. Like, it's stuff like that, and it's super super crazy. It's a crazy world.
So when it's online, are you reading through those comments?
I used to. I used to read comments. It used to drive me crazy.
But
I'm
it's
like,
kind of like you kind of want to, right? I mean, you're in the industry where
no.
I'm saying there might be an impulse there, right? Because you want to see, the thing is, I imagine if you're in an industry where you have to appear perfect, you want to know what the imperfections are.
So you want to know what your imperfections are, of course, but like I was telling you before, like I never thought to get my boobs done
Right.
until people were saying, "Oh, she needs a boob job. She needs a boob job. She needs a,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Wait, I need to get my boobs done." And then now you start to really tear yourself down based off of, because remember, like I said
And
earlier,
ain't even your
you're
own
looking
thoughts.
at yourself through the lens of other people.
Right.
So you could be the most beautiful girl in the world, but if the world views you as this, you're going to start to view yourself as that, and that's wrong. That's why you have to have a mind of like super strict, super like, because if not, super strong, because if not, you'll just feed into the hype of what people are telling you to do. And me now, I don't too much look at my social media too much. Like I might do a post and I'm like, all right, on to the
And be
next.
out of there.
Like, all right, we
Same
on to the
way.
next. Every now and then I might engage with people, like people that I know and stuff.
Right.
But then I do, like, people like, "Oh, Queen, you don't get hate." Yes, I do. I get a lot of hate. I there's times where I remember the video that I have pinned on my page now on Instagram. Like everybody was saying, "Oh, you're too fat to be a model," or "You got
What?
tattoos," and "You too dark," or "Your hair look crazy," and all this stuff. And I'm just like, what? Like,
Too fat is crazy.
they was like, man, they said I was too fat to be a model. And I'm like, hips too wide. And this is why you have to be careful. Because even then at that time, and this is how eating disorders and all this stuff gets started. And I've seen models, even myself, like there's times where I wouldn't even eat. I would just drink tea. Like during Miami Swim Week, it is I don't know if you ever heard of that, but it is a week of like complete casting back to back to back. Like some models fly from all over the world. And that is like one of the hardest weeks.
Yeah.
And I've seen models like literally eat sunflower seeds or drink tea just because they don't want to feel bloated on the runway.
That's so crazy. What do you love about doing that? Because there's
a thrill in it.
There's
There's
a
a
lot of
thrill in it.
psychological trickery going on with that. But what's the love in it for you?
I think it ties into my name. I was actually given this name Qveen, and I was given.
Oh, it's your real name.
No.
Okay.
But it's my nickname. But I was given the name, and I was given the name because at that time, it was like back in like high school, I was trying to do like a little girl group or whatever, and the person that gave it to me, she was actually a stripper.
Oh, shout out.
Yeah, she was a stripper, and her daughter was in the girl group. Her, and her son too, because he was.
So
trying to
she
do
was
stuff.
she was a stripper and then she became a model.
No, she was just a stripper.
she was just-
she
okay,
was just a
gotcha.
stripper. And she was just like, "Oh, your name should be Queen." And I was like, "Why? Why should my name be Queen?" She said, "Because I want every single time someone calls you that, it's a reminder to yourself." And I was like, and this is where the psychological part comes in, because I'm like, "Oh, okay." She's like, "Yeah. So your stage name is going to be Queen." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So later on down the line, it became like my name. And I just remember times where I didn't feel like a queen, because she knew my story as well too. She knew about my mother and all this stuff. And there were times where I didn't feel like a queen. And it's like if a person or you or whatever says queen, it's like you snap back.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wait. It's a
Right.
reminder. And I'm like, oh, okay. So
I love that.
when it comes to fashion or when it comes to that world, I always think like I tie it into my name. And I'm like, you know, when I'm on the runway and they are like, oh, that's Qveen, that's Qveen. I'm like, you damn right, that's Qveen. Walking, strutting, showing you who I am because, you know, it's all psychological.
Yeah, it is.
You know, you are who you believe you are.
You are who you say you are.
And you are who you say you are. So that's where that confidence comes in at. And I think for me, it's a roller coaster ride. It's a ride full of emotions. It's a ride full of pain, thrill, but it's a ride where you know that you're breaking through avenues because, like I said before, there was a time where we weren't even seeing girls with afros on the runway or being appreciated 100%. Or having people like, wow, like I want you to tell me one Victoria's Secret fashion show that you've seen a girl with an afro with this skin color walk. Nobody could name one. Nobody could name a runway where they were seeing that. So for me, the thrill that I enjoy most is pushing and breaking through avenues to open up doors for other women just like myself. Because I ain't going to be doing this forever now. Yeah. Getting older. And then there was a little girl and her mom showed me a video. And her mom was like, she wanted to wear her hair like yours. And I think for the first time I cried. Yeah. And I was like, because it never really occurred to me. Like you do this stuff and you're, you know, people think that we do this for validation for men and all this stuff. No, it's deeper than that.
Yeah, of course.
And her mom sent me the video and I seen the little girl saying, "Ooh, I look like you," and da da da. And she was cute. I think the girl was nothing but 5 years old. And I think that's when I was like, oh, I get it. I get it, God. I see what you're doing. Mm-hmm. I see how you're using me to inspire others. And sometimes we think that when God gets in the picture and when he uses you, that you ain't gonna go through nothing.
You go through the most.
You go through the most.
Yeah.
So that was like that, the psychological part of it that kind of keeps me going. Yeah. Because otherwise I would have been quit.
And I think it's a great mirror of your life story. Mm-hmm. I don't believe in coincidences. I think, you know, when a boxer is boxing, mm-hmm. there's a lot of mental things that come into play. There are things they have to think of to overcome mentally so they could overcome a physical battle. Right. So I think the same thing for music, for the arts, for the runway. There's, for everyone else, you walking, but there's so much other things going on that you're a representation of a victory, of a conquest, of your past. Like there's so much that goes into it. I think that might be, I can see where the joy is. Cause I think about that. I'm like, as you talking, I'm like, what can you take away from this that's positive for your mental health? Yeah. Right. And, I can see how that can be the case. Mm-hmm. And as far as that goes, would you say that you deal with, like poor mental health or
so I would say my mental health is not perfect. Right. I do see a therapist and I'm very, very open. Like I even talk about it on my page, like in my bio, I put women's mental health advocate, because I'm very open about my mental health, you know, as someone who has struggled so much as a child and even now as an adult, you know, people don't realize like you go through moments, bro. Like, you know, life is not going to be perfect all the time. And I think it's very naive, especially for people to assume that it is going to be perfect, especially, you know, people of color where mental health isn't getting talked about as much. Or, you know, people have that stigma where they're like, oh, you know, especially if you grew up in the church, you know, black people, they don't want to, like, when you talk about mental health with black people, it's like, girl, you crazy, da da da. And I'm like, no, like we go through it. Just because of the color of our skin, it doesn't make a difference. Like we're still.
I think we've gotten very good at ignoring it. It's kind of like as a child when you leaned on that imagination, when you were going through things you didn't understand. it's the same thing for a lot of Black people. I think we really put entertainment in the forefront. I think sometimes we just really just push it to the side
Yeah.
and don't worry about it. We pay the cost later on.
I think now we're waking up to it.
Yeah.
Social media has played a big role and
Absolutely.
a big help to mental health, and now we're seeing it now, especially within our community. We're acknowledging it more.
I think we're acknowledging it.
We're acknowledging it a lot more, and I always appreciate that. That's why I speak on it so much. And like I said, I just think that it's important. I do see a therapist. I'm going to continue seeing a therapist. I am not shy to talk about that, nor do I care about anybody judging me because of that, because I think that that is important, especially when you're in an industry like the arts and entertainment, you know, where you're always getting scrutinized. You need that extra layer of protection to say, hey, I'm right here with you, and we're going to do and walk these paths and avenues together. Because, you know, there may be a moment where someone might say something that might bring me back to a time of my past, and it triggers me. And then, you know, when you're in this type of life, you're going to be dating, you know, you want to make sure that your partner and how you guys are navigating, how you're responding and reacting, it all ties in together. So yeah, like me, I'm probably one of the biggest mental health, girl, you better get you a therapist. Would you want me to call you up one? Like,
Yeah.
I will always, to this day, I will not judge anyone, because you never know what a person is dealing with and what they're going through. And like I said earlier, the layers, you know,
It runs deep.
yeah.
It runs deep. And I think you're right. I think we, as a collective, especially with social media, are acknowledging mental health. I think that what we aren't all doing is actually doing something about it. I think
Yeah.
people can talk the healing and have the conversation and have the appearance in a way, but I encourage more people to actually, like you said, talk to a psychologist. I don't know if it's psychologist or psychiatrist, but
Psychologist, psychiatrist, because you need both, because you
Yeah.
know you might need some meds, you know,
might
might
need
need a
some
little
meds,
medication,
you know.
ease up the little, you know,
Yeah.
whatever.
But I encourage people to actually do something about it. Actually do something about it. Actually take the time. You know, for me, I think you can talk to the psychologist and all that, but not enough people, I think, sit with their mind. That's where it gets, you know,
That's deep.
you can go to the psychologist and then go outside and party
Yeah.
and just ignore the work. But sitting with your mind, actually remembering your childhood, actually remembering the emotions, trying to feel what you feel is something I don't know if a lot of people are
You know,
doing
a
that.
lot of people don't do that. A lot of people
that's it.
don't want to sit with it because they don't want to deal with it.
No,
They try to suppress it.
Right.
And let me tell you, that comes back and bites you, because
do.
I did that all my years until I got older and I couldn't do it anymore, and I exploded.
And you know where you're going to see it? You're going to see it in your relationships.
You see it in your
You're not
relationships.
going to know why. Certain things tick you off. Certain things you ignore. Certain things you don't want to talk about. I don't want to have this conversation right now. I don't want to have this conversation later. All that is accumulated through
I saw
ignoring
it
everything.
like crazy in my relationships. And I was like, because I used to think, oh, perfect Patty, all this stuff, perfect queen, all this stuff like that. And it's just something about when you get in relationships,
Yeah.
you're like,
It'll expose you.
like, you know, I even realized that I had abandonment issues. And then I'm like, wait, where did that come from? Like, how did that happen? Then I was like, wait,
Yeah.
you did grow up with a mother who was incarcerated. You kind of was in a situation. So, you know, that's why I said the layers.
Yeah, it's a lot of
It's
layers.
more to it. And then you also have to choose wisely, choose people that understand that. I don't like when people like to say, oh, people choose poorly. That's not necessarily the case. But, you know, you have to be a little bit more understanding of yourself and understanding of the environment that you need to be in to thrive. Because, you know, there were moments where I was choosing poorly based off of me not getting the help that I needed at that time. So a lot of my friendships, a lot of my relationships were based off of me not doing the work as of yet. So I was going after these types of friendships and relationships, not understanding that these were not healthy for me.
No.
So
You were attracting those type of relationships and friendships. Because, yeah. Wow. You dropped we talked about your single Respect My Walk,
Yeah.
which is you dropped on November last year.
Yes.
You've been promoting it since. I love
Yeah.
the effort, the professionalism, and being, having had, having not dropped a single in so long, or been in music, I think since what you said, 13, 16,
Like 13. Yeah.
and to jump back in it with the level of focus, dedication, and truly you seem like a veteran. Uh, I don't know where that comes from. What's your team or your leadership, or who are you looking at to
Ooh.
inspire you in this way?
Love that question. Who inspires me? Wow. Strong women, right? So, and when we say strong, well, when I say strong women, I'm not speaking in the sense of like, not speaking in the sense of like just any woman. Just seeing, and this goes back to what I was talking about earlier in my earlier years, seeing how women would carry themselves in tough situations. And like I said, I used to watch TV a lot. I used to watch TV a lot. Seeing powerful women like, the Lisa Rays of the world, the Kerry Washingtons of the world, the Oprahs of the world, the, all of these strong, dynamic women, the Michelle Obama, like, I truly, truly adore and love how these particular women, imperfect, but how they carry themselves and represent themselves. It says a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed to have had such experiences where I've had strong women kind of like, in different parts of my life. Even though it wasn't family per se, it was like in different avenues of maybe like a mentor or, a program director or whatever. So just seeing that and just seeing how they're able to hold themselves in tough situations, I think that plays a huge role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that answer. And do they get the respect they deserve? I don't know. Maybe they walk respected a little more. I'm proud to be somebody. I grew up with women. I was raised by a woman, and I get a lot of gain from women. And I say it a lot. A lot of men do. A lot of men get a lot of gain from women. But the thing is, the way in which women contribute is not gonna ever be measurable. There's not a measurement to it, so you never really gonna get a lot of your dues. But I think that's what's dope about the record you released too. It's basically you giving yourself, your flowers as well.
Yeah, and I, as hard as I am on myself, I think later, as I was making the record, because I did have a couple of people come on the record with me as well. I had a drag queen. I had a friend producer. His name is Casso. I also had another producer, Bobby. People that I've worked with for a very long time. And as we were, making the record and I'm assisting with the record and everything, they actually took a moment and it was like, Qveen, like, mind you, in the studio, I'm going to release the clip later. They took a moment and was like, Qveen, we want to say thank you for bringing us here to put this together, and give you your flowers because we see you working.
Yeah.
And I think that was also another exciting turning point for me because it made me realize people are watching.
Yeah.
People do care. People do see what you're doing. And the right people would want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So I think, like you said earlier, like giving flowers, I just want to say I appreciate, so if y'all watching, I appreciate y'all because that was really special. Yeah. To be giving your flowers in such a tough space.
Yeah.
So that meant a lot.
Yeah. Awesome. Shout out to everybody who had anything to do with that record. Qveen, it was very nice, very pleasant to have you with us here this evening, and a V after the Q.
I just want
to why real quick? Okay,
come on. It's a V after the Q. Qveen. Come on, finger.
Let's go clock all that.
Clock all that. Clock that T.
Qveen, it's a pleasure, absolute pleasure again. Thank you. We hope to have you again, to catch up with your story. Hopefully you got a couple more records out by
Yes.
then, and we'll be watching you on that runway doing your thing. I saw you got one tomorrow.
Yes, I have one tomorrow. I
Yeah.
have one tomorrow. Yeah,
So
I got
good
one
luck-
tomorrow.
good
I have
luck with
two,
that.
actually, but yeah.
On behalf of
you.
Changing the Youth, hottest podcast in the world, we have Qveen in the building.
Art, it comes from the heart.